Driving upon the lonesome highway on a dark, rainy night, a truck driver by the name of Travis Grady makes contact with a colleague over his radio. Travis tells him that he plans to pass a shortcut through the town of Silent Hill, then to stop at Bram's, the next town over. The man on the radio notices Travis's fatigue and expresses concern, jokingly stating a girl or two would come a long way to keep Travis lively. Travis dismisses his remarks and the two engage in playful banter. Afterward, Travis ends the call and continues his late-night drive through the night. As Travis is driving, he starts to envision traumatic flashbacks to a funeral when he was a young boy. Before he can indulge any further, Travis suddenly sees a cloaked figure run onto the highway, forcing him to stop immediately. Regaining his composure, he goes to check on this mysterious person but finds them seemingly missing. Soon after, Travis witnesses an apparition of a young girl in the driver's rearview mirror, engulfed in fog as she approaches him. Confused and startled, Travis peers through the thick fog to find the young girl once again standing in the middle of the highway. As he approaches her, she runs away immediately, warranting a chase to commence as Travis beckons for answers. Not much is known about Travis's life after his traumatic experiences he encountered in his childhood, which would serve as his upbringing for many years to come. What is known is that Travis had a loving relationship with his father and mother, Helen and Richard Grady. During this time, his mother would unfortunately suffer from severe psychological delusions. Helen would claim to see otherworldly beings from a mirror world, telling her that her son was a devil child. Manipulated by these otherworldly delusions, she would come to commit an unspeakable act by attempting to commit a murder-suicide by ending her life as well as Travis's through toxic gas. Ultimately, Helen would fail in killing both of them. Richard would catch the act and immediately call the police, causing her to subsequently be arrested and would be deemed as mentally insane. Helen would be transferred to Cedar Grove Sanitarium in central Silent Hill. During this time, Travis would grow to miss his mother, which led him to sneak into the asylum in an effort to give her a drawing he made of him, her, and his father. However, Travis would later be caught and apprehended by one of the staff members and picked up by his father. Instead of driving home, Richard and Travis would spend the day at Riverside Motel, located nearby in central Silent Hill, where Richard would lie to Travis about his mother's death as a red herring to dissuade him from further asking questions nor attempting to see his mother for the sake of his safety. Because of this, Travis would later on in life create this cognitive dissonance from his mother's death and would write letters to her as if she's still alive. After time in Riverside Motel, Richard would fall into a deep depression and would ultimately end his life. Travis, later on, would find his father's corpse hung by a noose and would become mentally scarred by the scene. As a means of coping with this traumatic sight, Travis would still talk to his father as if he was still alive, locking himself in room 500 until the police found him the very next morning. After the events of this very distressing time in Travis's youth, it's unknown what would be his transition into adulthood, although it can be presumed that these events would affect him deeply, given his PTSD flashbacks to the funeral of his father's death, allowing the town of Silent Hill to manifest his trauma and fears into reality. After chasing the young girl on the highway, Travis eventually finds himself at a house that is caught on fire. Nearby, he sees a woman who's hiding out of sight, giving a slight smirk as she leaves. As Travis is entranced by the sight, he hears a young girl screaming from inside. Worried, he decides to run into the burning house to rescue her. Travis navigates the interior of the house that is slowly engulfed in flames, until he finds a girl whose body is charred and mutilated, severely burned by the fire that rests on a sigil, implying that fire started due to this ritualistic performance but went horribly wrong. Without hesitation, Travis grabs the young girl and holds her tightly, traversing through the tight, linear household before they are consumed by the flames. As they reach the front door, they narrowly escape. Travis puts the young girl gently on the ground, pleading to anyone around to help her. Due to exhaustion, Travis falls unconscious with nearby police sirens. The following day, Travis awakens suddenly on a bench to find that he's in central Silent Hill. Remembering what happened last night, Travis assumes that the young girl was taken to a nearby hospital. Travis roams the fog-ridden town to eventually stumble upon Alchemilla Hospital. Once inside, he finds the place completely devoid of life and abandoned. Curious, he wanders the halls to find a man named Michael Kaufman, the head director of Alchemilla Hospital. Once relieved, Travis asks Kaufman if the young girl who was burned last night was administrated at Alchemilla, but much to his surprise, Kaufman isn't aware about this girl. Before getting any further answers, Kaufman diverges from their conversation and excuses himself with important business matters to attend to. With not taking no as an answer, Travis continues his search throughout Alchemilla Hospital to the second floor. Once here, he finds himself on the second floor to be met by a nurse. However, Travis's naiveness gets the best of him, as the nurse is revealed to be an otherworldly monster that is corrupted beyond recognition. With no other option, Travis engages in combat with the monster. The creature, called a Faceless Nurse, appears to be wearing a traditional garment that is slightly revealing and promiscuous in its appearance, as their dress emphasizes their cleavage. Furthermore, they wear a short dress that reveals their skin, along with thigh-length stockings held by suspenders. The most distinctive quality is their lack of facial features, as their face is completely blank. Typically, the Faceless Nurses are seen equipped with scalpels or syringes as their weapon of choice. While their attacks are weak, they become aggressive if they grab onto Travis. Once caught, they become dangerous when grappling with Travis, holding him hostage from having free mobility or control. Because they are faceless, they lack any vision of what is in front of them or around them. However, they're very sensitive to sound and his flashlight, which alerts them immediately if caught emitting these actions. A possible representation of the Faceless Nurse could connect to Travis's suppressed desires. This can be supported back to the conversation that Travis and his colleague have over the radio, which sees Travis admitting not to find the right girls, and alluding to not having much romantic or sexual relationships. With this implication, this can depict Travis as depriving himself of favoring these types of relationships with a potential partner. Whether sexual or romantic, that is something he desires but chooses not to pursue. This is possibly due to his past trauma and how it sabotaged him psychologically speaking. After the encounter with the Faceless Nurse, Travis enters the next door room to find a bloodstained hospital gurney. Here contains a document of a recent patient undergoing a preliminary diagnosis, who is shown to have third-degree burns on the exterior of her body, but mysteriously has no internal damage to her organs, as it's somehow been prevented, implying something supernatural is amidst with the young girl Travis is looking for. As Travis leaves the room, he hears a loud screeching sound behind him, where he finds the young girl he saw earlier, behind the mirror, planting her hand onto the glass, which makes a bloodstained handprint. Travis recognizes the young girl and questions her, but before he can get an answer, his mirror self shows his body moving sporadically. This then sees a shift into the other world, a dark corrupted construct that manifests the fears, worries, guilt, and trauma from those who are called to Silent Hill, to face the reality and unreality, merging into one horrifying nightmare. In the otherworld Alchemilla Hospital, Travis roams the blood-rusted corridors that plague the confines of the hospital. After some exploration between the fog world and otherworld of Alchemilla Hospital, Travis collects the plastic lungs, plastic liver, plastic stomach, plastic intestines, and finally, the plastic heart, to solve the anatomy doll puzzle to receive the glass eyes. Once acquired, he re-enters the otherworld Alchemilla Hospital to use the glass eyes combined with the death mask to unlock a door to the next area, which sees him encounter another monster, constrained to its own skin that stretches as it emulates movements of struggling to be set free. The Straightjacket is a monster that is heavily restricted in physical prowess and combat, only encompassing movement and the ability to use its bile acid as a harmful projectile as its form of attack. While slow in its overall movement, it's still capable of being a docile enemy, as it compensates for long-range attacks instead of close counters. The only exception is when it decides to grapple with Travis if he is caught in its grasp. The Straightjacket could be a manifestation of Travis's mother, as she was admitted into Cedar Grove Sanitarium, where she tried herself and Travis. Due to her hallucinations and delusions of seeing another world where voices told her that Travis was a devil child, it's possible that Travis may envision his mother, subconsciously speaking, for who she truly was, a once loving mother who was tragically a victim to her own mental decline. Now as an adult who processed or is in the process of accepting his trauma, Travis potentially could see the negative effects this had on his upbringing throughout his life, where he struggled to come to terms with the harsh reality that his mother was mentally insane and caused him to be severely traumatized and a victim to her actions and abuse. Although, it's also ironic in knowing that Travis's mother wasn't entirely wrong, as Travis, much like his mother, is capable of seeing this mirror into another world. As Travis previously interacts with these mirrors that allow him to travel between the fog world and otherworld. This could be a representation of the dark negative thoughts that Travis manifests, as it implies Travis's mental state is similar to that of his mother, given his nightmarish delusions. After defeating the Straightjacket, Travis collects a mysterious device called the feature piece, the first part of the Flauros. Moments later, the young girl appears abruptly to then cause Travis to fall unconscious. Travis awakens to a woman watching over him, who tells him her name is Lisa Garland, a young nurse in training who's a subordinate under Michael Kaufman. Upon formally introducing each other, Lisa notices Travis is disassociating, asking him if he's okay. Travis says he's not all there due to the fire he was in last night, trying to save the young girl. Lisa mentions that the girl was named Alessa Gillespie and that she was tragically killed. Taken aback, Travis is shocked yet saddened by the news. Lisa interrupts their conversation by stating that she has a meeting with Dr. Kaufman at Cedar Grove Sanitarium. However, she hopes to meet with Travis once again, which Travis agrees to. With uncertainty at the idea of Alessa Gillespie being deceased due to the document he found earlier of a victim not succumbing to their wounds, Travis questions the validity behind Lisa's claims and decides to investigate the whereabouts of Alessa and what's truly happening in Silent Hill. After wandering aimlessly through central Silent Hill, Travis eventually stumbles upon a butcher's shop called the Family Butcher. As he enters inside, Travis witnesses a faceless nurse sitting on a seat with her body trembling in fear as she is encountered by the butcher. Travis watches in horror as the butcher effortlessly picks up the faceless nurse with one hand by the neck, as he plunges his great cleaver into her abdomen, slicing her lower body downward in half. Upon this horrific encounter, Travis wastes no time and continues his search for Cedar Grove Sanitarium. As Travis enters Cedar Grove Sanitarium, he enters the female wing to encounter the woman who he saw hiding behind the house that caught on fire. Travis recognizes her and asks her why she didn't call for help. She reveals that her name is Dahlia Gillespie, and that the girl Travis saved was her daughter, Alessa Gillespie. In disbelief with how the mother wouldn't save her own daughter, Travis shames Dahlia for her negligence. However, Dahlia isn't affected by her lack of moral compass and instead tells Travis to not trust Alessa. Confused as to how she knows his name, Travis demands answers, which is left to no avail as Dahlia leaves. Not knowing that Alessa is still alive, Travis now beckons for answers on what exactly is going on. As Travis explores the dark, decrepit liminal corridors of the asylum, he finds a ghostly apparition that, once shined on with his flashlight, reveals a shadowy figure without a physical body that wears a bloodstained harness. This monster is called the Remnant, an entity that lacks any physical presence, only appearing as a shadow once illuminated by a flashlight. If Travis were to shine his flashlight at the monster, it would also release an ear-piercing screech, alerting of its presence. The Remnant uses its harness as a means of attack by using the inanimate object by either lunging or bashing its weight towards Travis to deal damage. Because its movement is fairly quick, it'd be wise to use firearms from afar to deal damage effectively. Alternatively, because the Remnant is difficult to see while shining a flashlight on it, it's devoid of being alerted by Travis's presence and can be easily snuck by via stealth to avoid contact. The symbolism behind the Remnant can represent Travis's perceived self in this image of being unseen or invisible to those around him. It's alluded to in his conversation with his colleague earlier on that Travis has the tendency to obsess over his past trauma that he cannot seem to get away from. Travis's tendency to express his feelings and past to others can be seen as a result of him not receiving psychiatric care for his trauma, which is why he opens up to others, as a means to receive that validation and acknowledgement for his pain and suffering. In some ways, the Remnant is a literal and figurative remnant of Travis's past that he cannot fully escape from because it comes back to haunt him. Travis continues his journey onto the second floor, reaching the TB ward to solve the iron lung puzzle. Once solved, Travis receives the basement key. Throughout Cedar Grove Sanitarium, Travis must acquire the belongings key, the archives key, by traversing the otherworld and fog world through the mirror, and finally, Dr. Harris's key, by solving the pill cabinet puzzle. With Dr. Harris's key, he unlocks Dr. Harris's office to acquire the Jocasta artifact. With the Jocasta artifact, Travis unlocks the door to the female seclusion area. Travis finds Lisa sitting alone to herself, saddened about a woman who wants to see her son. Travis, confused, asks if Alessa is inside the room, which is met with Lisa shouting at Travis that he knows who's inside the room, prompting Lisa to leave once again. As Travis enters the room, he finds himself reverted back to a younger age in a flashback. A younger Travis calls for his mom, telling her that his dad said that she was dead, asking if this is true. Suddenly, a manifestation of Travis's memory of his mother, a monster called Momma, goes off on a tangent with frustration, rambling about wanting to see her son. As Travis witnesses the monster, he retreats in desperation and trying to skip the room, but is forced to face the monster before him. The manifestation of Travis's mother, Momma, has an unidentifiable face that bears semblance to a humanoid-looking woman, with skin wrapped in clothing, with decayed-like skin that is dull and decrepit, with her mouth forced open by wire as if she is constantly screaming. Momma's method of traversal is through a mechanism attached to the ceiling, which controls her movement. She attacks by emitting a toxic gas around her that has a large radius. Once stationary, she can use the iron cage around her to protrude large spikes in various formations. The best method of choice is to stand afar and use a firearm. Momma is a manifestation of Travis's vivid memory of witnessing his mother institutionalized in Cedar Grove Sanitarium. More specifically, when he tried to sneak in by trespassing to see her after missing her for a long time. Travis seeing his mother confined in a straitjacket, immensely unstable after her succumbing to the otherworldly delusions of the mirror, and this resulting in her attempting to kill both herself and Travis, could be the internalized subconscious thoughts derived from Travis's psyche that projects this corrupted manifestation of how he sees his mother in the otherworld. The mouth being agape represents her constant screaming of wanting to see her son, vocalizing her insanity. The iron cage she is confined to represents her straitjacket she is forced to wear, due to her hostile and unpredictable behavior. The poisonous gas represents her using a harmful gas to try to kill her and Travis through inhaling the toxicity, which is depicted here as she's exhaling it. After a long, emotional battle, Travis finally defeats Momma. Upon her defeat, Travis acquires the past piece, the second part of the Flauros. Travis is once again met with the young girl, who he asks if what is happening is all her doing. Before he can get an answer, he falls unconscious. Travis awakens in the front lobby to collect a theater ticket with the label Artois Theater, hinting at the next location Travis must proceed to. As Travis exits Cedar Grove Sanitarium, he finds a car left running with the back hood left wide open. Inside the back trunk of the car, Travis picks up the lumberyard key. As Travis travels through the foggy streets of central Silent Hill, he encounters another monster called the Carrion, a medium-sized monstrous creature that is seen notably slouching with its upper body as it is dragged forward on the floor by its two shaky legs. The creature is engrossed with dark, red-pale skin as it hangs its massive tongue out. Due to its size, the Carrion uses its weight as momentum to lunge and attack Travis, creating a powerful blow. Although it's presumed to be slower in its movement due to its size, it shouldn't be underestimated, as it's surprisingly agile, as it can turn quickly if Travis tries to maneuver it to its side or behind it. The best method of attack is firearms, due to melee weapons being a risky choice, especially heavy melee weapons which impedes his movement from evading. Similarly, there's a variant of this monster called the Mother Carrion, which are larger in scale and are an opposing force, as they alternatively use their massive weight to raise themselves in the air to slam back down to deal damage. However, because of their massive size, Mother Carrion can be easily avoided or defeated with gunfire if stood from afar. The Carrion can possibly represent both Travis and his mother, Helen Grady. The small variant of the Carrion is likely a manifestation of a younger Travis, whilst the Mother Carrion is a manifestation of his mother, Helen. This represents the mother-son relationship that shows a protective mother over her child, in this context, her son, Travis, which is represented by the difference in size of the Carrion. As Travis reaches the lumber yard, he uses the key and navigates through the lumber yard toward the back alley of Greenfield Apartments, proceeding up the staircase to the second floor. Travis then roams the second floor of the apartments to reach a bathroom with a large gaping hole to jump down. As he does, he finds himself in the front lobby, proceeding to leave through the front doors, traveling to the next door building, Artois Theater, which Travis uses the theater ticket to enter. Once inside, Travis enters the auditorium where he finds Lisa sitting alone. Travis asks Lisa what she's doing here all alone in the theater, as it could be dangerous. Lisa scoffs at his comment and entertains this idea by playfully flirting with Travis. Lisa reveals that she loves theaters as she wanted to be an actress in her youth. However, because her mother and her grandmother were nurses, it's likely that due to family expectations, she decided not to follow her dreams and instead become a nurse. After making advances towards Travis in a flirtatious and provocative manner, Lisa leaves Travis to himself. As Travis makes his way backstage into the east corridor of the theater, he finds a puppet that lies mangled as it hangs from above, catching him off guard as it attacks him. This little gremlin is called Ariel. They are seen hanging from the ceiling upside down, with a pair of hands replacing their feet that grabs onto strings which they hang from, and use as traversal. While they are slow in their movement can be disorientating and be much of an impediment in Travis's path, as much of the environment they thrive in is very linear, forcing Travis to fight as fleeing is more risky than beneficial. If Travis were remotely close in their proximity, they can easily grapple him and cause him to be captive as they deal damage to him. If Travis is successful with his damage to the Ariel, they will collapse from the ceiling and instead use their hands as their feet and their other pair of hands to kick Travis. They are much more lethal and dangerous when often seen in groups. Ariel is a character of William Shakespeare's play, The Tempest, which is advertised throughout Artois theater. Ariel, in the Hebrew language, means Lion of God, often associated with strength and divine power. In the play, he is depicted as a spirit who serves the magician Prospero as a favor as he was freed by him. Interestingly, on different accounts for the inspiration of Ariel by scholars, it's commonly believed that Ariel is derived from religious etymology, as a spirit or demon during the Renaissance. Some scholars found Ariel to align closely to that of a demon, such as German occultist Cornelius Agrippa, who stated, "Ariel is the name of an angel, sometimes also of a demon, and of a city, whence called Areopolis, where the idol is worshipped." Because of its religious themes, it's speculated that Ariel, associating that with not only religious background, but that of an angel or a demon, could correlate back to Travis and how his mother was instilled in this belief by her otherworldly delusions of Travis as a devil child needing to be killed. Ariel also takes the form of a youthful appearance, resembling a playful child, which can further connect to Travis's past trauma from his youth, exploiting his loss of innocence. Throughout Artois theater, Travis explores the first floor to collect the sun totem, and the second floor to collect the moon totem. Simultaneously, he also finds a box full of 4 light bulbs which he will need for solving the Spotlight's puzzle. Upon solving the Spotlight's puzzle, the stage lights will turn on, allowing Travis to pull the curtains to reveal a giant stage play. After correctly switching the curtains to its correct position, the mirror will allow access for Travis into the other world where he fights the Caliban. This monster is a massive, mutilated, and contorted humanoid figure which walks on 4 large legs, which sees its back legs hunched over its body as its spine is curled, making the monster horribly disfigured. However, even though its disorientated body structure does seem to give the impression that it inhibits its overall movement, it instead is in its favor, as it uses its sheer body mass to deal overwhelming damage if Travis is caught in its attack. Caliban derives from William Shakespeare's Tempest, whose role is the son of the subhuman sea witch Sycorax. In the play, Caliban is described as a half-human, half-monster. Despite his deformities, Caliban was capable of having love, such as his love he held dearly for his mother. In the play, Caliban is depicted as a monster, which could be derived from Alessa Gillespie, who, at the time of the play, was scared when she first witnessed the costume character. According to the play's program, the costume was designed by taking a native buffalo spirit, fusing it with a stark, from iconic images seen in the ancient local cults of Valtial. Thus, this likely being a manifestation of Alessa's fears that came to reality. After defeating the Caliban, Travis receives the falsehood piece, the third part to the Flauros. Travis once again finds Alessa appearing from the shadows, where she kicks the Caliban violently, then proceeds to cause a shift to the fog world as a siren blares off, causing Travis to fall unconscious. Travis awakens in the lobby to find a bloody corpse of an Ariel which holds the motel key. As Travis picks up the motel key, he gets vivid flashbacks to his youth that are slightly fragmented, but enough to get a vague memory of him being at Riverside Motel with his father. Travis ventures into the streets of Central Silent Hill until he stops at a building called Public Records, where he finds 2 documents, Closed Case Memo and Altered Police Report, both which pertain to Alessa Gillespie. In the Closed Case Memo, it reveals an anonymous person of interest, implied to be Kay Gordon, Alessa's homeroom teacher from Midwich Elementary School, who filed a complaint regarding the abuse of Alessa Gillespie received from her mother, Dahlia Gillespie. In this report, it details that an unnamed officer and Michael Kaufman concluded the complaint as inconclusive when it came to gathering evidence that indicated abuse or harm toward Alessa from her mother. Kaufman found the case closed due to lack of evidence of negligence or foul play on Dahlia Gillespie's behalf, regarding Alessa growing up in a strict religious household where her mother indoctrinated these ritualistic talks or cults as childish fantasies. In the memo, Altered Police Report, it refers to the night of the incident of the Gillespie household burning down, where Travis would save a heavily mutilated Alessa Gillespie and carry her to safety outside, where he would then fall unconscious. However, in this report, it tells a completely different account of what truly happened. Instead, there is a fabrication of these events which state Alessa was dead on arrival by Dr. Kaufman, who is currently pending to file a death certificate in a coroner's report. The cause of the fire was ruled accidental due to no boiler malfunctioning, causing the house to become inflamed. With this context, Travis reckons that the Gillespie house fire and Alessa's death is heavily fabricated and used as a cover-up, due to previously reading a report he witnessed at Alchemilla Hospital, which described a recent patient whose body was heavily mutilated but was completely unscathed internally, as there was no damage to the organs, which is notioned to be Alessa. Now desperate to uncover the truth, Travis continues his search for Alessa onward to Riverside Motel, passing Andy's bookstore by solving a cash register puzzle where he receives the bookstore key to unlock the back door, and then going through a detour by passing through General Store, eventually arriving at Riverside Motel. Upon entering the reception office, a flashback shows a young Travis and his father, Richard, with dismay in their face. Likely moments after, Richard told Travis that his mother died. After the flashback, Travis finds a memo that details an entry of occupants, Richard and Travis Grady, staying in room 500. With the next location of interest, Travis explores Riverside Motel. Searching through the motel rooms, Travis unexpectedly finds another monster called a two-back, an appearance that forms two heavily mutilated bodies into one, as they are violently stitched together, with the lower body fused with the upper body, forming a heavily contorted monstrous creature. The larger humanoid figure has two front arms that are depicted as stubs with long, needle-like blades, while the smaller humanoid figure in the back emulates a similar appearance with its hands and legs supporting stubs with long, needle-like blades. Much like the larger enemy types, the two-back has a large scale in its size alone, taking advantage of its overall weight to lunge towards Travis to pin him down as they grapple with him, while simultaneously driving downward the needle-like blade into his chest, spewing acid on his face. If Travis stands from a far distance, the two-back will compromise, with its acid projectiles as it spits directly towards Travis to deal damage. As the appearance implies, the two-back suggests sexual imagery between the positions of the two bodies fused together, which emulates that of a sexual position, with the smaller humanoid creature in the back thrusting itself into the larger front humanoid creature. As the previous themes of Travis's anxiety of sexual and romantic relationships implies, this continues that thread of his subconscious thoughts that reinforce that deprivation Travis instills, likely due to the traumatic experience he suffered from seeing the declining relationship between his father and mother, which psychologically stunted or deterred him from pursuing a sexual romantic relationship with a partner, due to fear of those events repeating. With the room 306 key, Travis uses the mirror to enter the Otherworld Riverside Motel to enter room 305. Travis then re-enters the Fog World to enter the maintenance corridor, acquiring the manager's office key. Back at the reception, Travis uses the manager's office key to enter the manager's office. After leaving, Travis navigates the motel till he eventually reaches a horrific sight of a brutally mutilated two-back with a pierced hole in its body, alluding to Travis that he'll have to prepare to fight a formidable threat. As Travis enters the kitchen, he hears sounds of squealing from the two-back, as it trembles in fear, with the butcher using the great cleaver to brutally slice the body open and finish it off by stabbing it until it stops screaming and dies. As the butcher finishes slaughtering the creature, he sniffs out Travis's scent, alerting him of his presence, ensuing a battle. A tall, statured creature, donned with a bloodstained butcher's smock and covered in metal plates on the left half of his shoulder and face, and equipped with a great cleaver as his trademark weapon. The butcher is a very intelligent monster, such as his actions are a reflection of a calm yet brutal demeanor when it comes to professionally slaughtering his victims, indicating a haunting elegance, which contrasts with a morbid objective. The butcher has a myriad of attacks, such as swinging downward with a great cleaver, and swinging side to side. These attacks, if successful, can deal severe damage instantaneously. If Travis is caught by the butcher, there will be a quick time event, which gives him the opportunity to escape. If failed, he will be brutally slaughtered. The best method in killing this creature is standing from afar with a firearm weapon that deals high damage, as the butcher has a high tolerance to attacks that deal damage to him over time. The butcher is a reflection of Travis's fears of what he potentially could become, due to his nightmarish delusions and hallucinations he suffers throughout the story. It hints that Travis has a repressed split personality that may encompass a more hostile and sociopathic side to him. This is implied in the memo in ID Torn in Two, that states, one personality continues to love the abuser and seek their approval. The other personality contains all the rage and anger of the abused and in many ways becomes a mirror of the abuser, seeking to inflict its pain on others. Much like his mother, Travis potentially exhibits similar personality traits and behavior that is familial of Hal and Grady. However, the difference is that Travis represses those tendencies or thoughts as seen when he has such delusions, while in contrast to his mother, who fully embraces her psychopathic and mentally disturbed personality and behavior. that further reinforces the dichotomy between Travis and his potentially split personality, representing the rage and anger he represses toward his mother and father as a result of his trauma. After a long, heart-pounding battle, Travis finally defeats the Butcher. As the Butcher lies incapacitated from its wounds, Travis uses this opportunity to finish off the monster of the Great Cleaver. Afterward, Travis leaves the kitchen to then enter the game room where he finds a token on a pinball machine. Before he leaves, Travis receives another flashback. A young Travis asks his father for coins to play the pinball machine. His father tells him to stay at the game room as he has to go back to the motel room, ending the flashback. Travis then heads to the nearby laundry room to use a token on a functioning washing machine. Once Travis solves the washing machine puzzle, he receives the Cleopatra key. Travis then heads outside, up the second floor, to the Cleopatra room. Once entering inside, he jumps down the hole from the bathroom to the floor down below. Once collecting himself, Travis then hears an audible sound of people rummaging their belongings. Curious, he turns the corner to find Michael Kaufman and Lisa Garland sitting on both opposite sides of the bed, as they both redress in their clothes. During this exchange, Lisa storms off with frustration in her voice. Likewise, Kaufman expresses irritability, with Travis still frequenting around Central Silent Hill, as he has a tendency to make unwanted appearances, telling Travis to leave town, which sees Kaufman leaving shortly after. Nearby, Travis finds a white powder which he assumes is a drug. In actuality, this is a reference to White Claudia, a hallucinogenic drug that was, according to folklore, used by the Native Americans during ritualistic ceremonies. White Claudia would be repurposed for the legal recreational drug PTV, which would be sold under the black market by Michael Kaufman to tourists who visited Silent Hill as well as the townspeople. A close associate, the underground cults, the Order, would also endorse this drug in their cult's practices and rituals, as a means in exorcising the birth of God. In the room nearby, Travis finds a memo that is a letter to Kaufman. In this letter, Dahlia Gillespie notifies Kaufman that the ritual is almost complete, but their efforts to prevent Alessa from breaking free from a sigil withholding her power is gradually decreasing. Furthermore, they mention that Travis shouldn't be an issue as he's unaware of the bigger threat that is happening before him, alluding to the Flauros as the only means of preventing the ritual. With this information in mind, Travis expedites his search for Alessa in hopes of stopping the ritual once and for all. Travis then uses the mirror in the bathroom to enter the Otherworld Riverside Motel. While here, he exits the room to the inner yard to find an empty pool of a jeweled heart by itself. Once collected, he then enters the diner to receive the dagger. With the dagger, Travis inserts it into the door of the narrow room. Once inside, he jumps down a hole to the lower room below, then reconvenes in room 503 to use the mirror to head back to the fog world. Travis then heads back to the maintenance room, using the vise to crack open the jeweled heart which contains a wedding ring. With the wedding ring, Travis returns to the reception to solve the rotary calendar puzzle. Once solved, a secret compartment is revealed, which has a depression specifically to insert the wedding ring. Once inserted, the room 500 key is revealed on the key rack. Travis re-enters the other world to then head to room 500, using the room 500 key. Once inside, Travis descends down a long flight of stairs to reach the bottom. As Travis enters the room, there's a flashback to a young Travis showing a deeply traumatized boy who's trying to compensate with his father's suicide. The young Travis tells his father's hanging corpse that he won the pinball game and if he wants the quarter, telling him to wake up due to him not responding. Suddenly, Richard guilts Travis into believing his death was his fault for not checking on him at the time before he died. After the flashback, Travis tells his father what he's seeing is insane as he's in disbelief. Richard tells Travis it's time for him to face his trauma. Travis's father then shifts to his otherworld counterpart, Sad Daddy, a grotesque, otherworldly monstrosity that is fused to the room. Hanging down from the ceiling are 3 parts of its body, split individually. In the middle is a huge mass of flesh, with a mouth protruding at the end with human-like teeth and an elongated tongue. On both the left and the right are mutilated corpses, with only remains of their lower torsos that are hung from the ceiling. Because the Sad Daddy is immobile, it lacks any physical movement nor mobility. However, because the room is claustrophobic, it makes traversal constrained, meaning that Travis is very susceptible to its attacks. The Sad Daddy will use its mouth to try to bite or vomit a bloody projectile if Travis is far from its reach. On either side, the Sad Daddy will protrude tendrils to violently choke Travis. The most efficient means of dealing damage is purely through firearms. The Sad Daddy is a manifestation of Richard's memory and the guilt Travis suffers for failing to save him, as he feels responsible for his father's death. The mouth with human-like teeth represent the literal and figurative pleas and cries for help from Richard as he was dying. The mutilated corpses on both the left and right represent the death of both Helen and Richard Grady. And finally, The tendrils represent the rope Richard himself with. Once the sad daddy is finally defeated, the truth piece, the fourth part of the Flauros, appears before Travis. Once retrieved, Travis runs towards Alessa why she is not letting him forget and move on from his trauma and why she's torturing him, with manifestations of his dead parents. As he guilts her, she causes Travis to fall unconscious. Travis awakens in a storage room in Alchemilla Hospital to find the present piece, the fifth and final part of the Flauros. Travis must then solve the Flauros puzzle by correctly inserting the individual parts into the correct positions. Once accomplished, the Flauros becomes complete. Alessa's astral projection suddenly appears and is set free, unbeknownst to Travis, restoring her telekinesis powers. According to Asian folklore, the Flauros derives from the writings and use of a poet named Shang Chen, who was an advisor to the early Han Dynasty of China, who jokingly stated that he trapped a demon with a three-sided box, referring to the Flauros. Later in his life, Shang Chen died in a fire at an imperial palace in 115 BC, and subsequently lost the Flauros. Many decades later, it was rumored to be in possession of a Lutheran monk named M.G. Lewis. In 1796, he would prophesize the Flauros to have the ability to control and amplify thoughts, linking the device to not a demon, but to God, a weapon endorsed by the angels as a force of good. The origin of the Flauros is rooted in the Pseudomonarchia Daemonium, written by the 16th century Dutch physician and occultist Johann Weiner, who writes a list that contains entries of approximately 69 demons. In the entry on Flauros, it refers to the demon as a strong Duke of Hell, having 36 demons under his rule. Flauros possesses the power to foretell any and all answers to the past, present, and future. However, if Flauros is not commanded into a magic triangle, he will lie and deceive the one who conjured the demon. If he enters a circle, he will answer truthfully, speak about divinity, the creation of the world, other fallen angels, and himself. Lastly, he has the ability to possess tremendous strength, such as to burn the conjurer's enemies if commanded. As Travis gives chase towards Alessa's astral projection, he eventually stumbles upon Dahlia Gillespie. Dahlia shames Travis for reconstructing the Flauros, allowing for Alessa's telekinesis powers to be set free, no longer holding her back. Travis responds with wanting to simply end the events, believing setting Alessa free would best suit her interest. As he asks Dahlia for help to help him leave Silent Hill, she laughs and mocks his request, laughing maniacally as a ceremony for the ritual and using Alessa as a surrogate mother to host and give birth to the embryonic god has begun. As Dahlia escapes, Alessa's astral projection is seen levitating with anger and resentment, corrupting the town into a distorted image of the otherworld. With no time to lose, Travis races across the streets of the otherworld central Silent Hill, avoiding monsters in his path to eventually reach Greenline Antique Shop. Inside, Travis finds a secret hole in the wall. With no other option, Travis crawls through the hole and reaches the other side to find an altar of presumably the Order's god. At the end of the hallway lies an entrance to the ceremonial hall, which Travis enters, preparing for what's to come. As Travis enters, he finds various members of the cult surrounding Alessa's mutilated body in the center of a sacrificial altar. Michael Kaufman taunts Travis with how Alessa has overworked him, and helping her and refers to him as her pawn. Suddenly, Travis is once again left unconscious by a sleeping gas. As he falls unconscious, Travis witnesses the ritual commencing. Travis then awakens in a room with a Hail of the Sun sigil on the floor. Before him appears a demonic-like entity, the manifestation of the cult's collective thought of the perceived god called Alessa's Dream. Alessa's Dream can be described as a demon, as the creature features red skin with a well-toned, muscular body, sharp claws, fangs and horns, and two elongated tentacles spreading from its back. It is a very powerful foe, as it attacks with a strong physical prowess and exceptional use of dark demonic magic. In close quarters combat, the demon will slash violently at Travis with a heavy swing. With dark demonic magic, it opens its chest to expose a bright, powerful burst of fire. Subsequently, it will stand still to summon a rain of fire that is casted from above, covering a large proximity, requiring Travis to dodge efficiently. Because of its attacks, momentum is crucial, as Travis will always need to be moving to avoid physical and magical attacks. With a large arsenal of weapons that deal high damage, it's effectively the best course of action in defeating Alessa's Dream. Once finally defeating Alessa's Dream, Travis summons the Flauros. The Flauros radiates the burst of energy with its power, by concealing the demon inside. Exhausted, Travis falls to the ground. The Flauros continues to levitate and exhibit its power, firing a ray of energy into Alessa's body, producing another baby inside of her womb. After the events, Travis is then seen leaving Silent Hill. Looking back as he holds his key to his truck in his hand, Before Travis leaves, he's visited one last time by Alessa's astral projection, holding the baby seen previously. As they say their goodbyes, Travis drives off to new beginnings. Sometime later, a couple are stunned to find a baby left on the side of the highway. The wife tells her husband, Harry Mason, to hold the baby, telling him that they should adopt her, as she is seemingly left orphaned. The couple, Harry and Jody Mason, adopt the baby, deciding to call her Cheryl Mason. Elsewhere, Michael Kaufman complains to Dahlia that half Alessa's soul is lost, referring to her other half, Cheryl Mason. However, Dahlia reassures Kaufman that all is not lost, as they can use Alessa's pain and suffering to manipulate Cheryl Mason to return to her other half, once returned to Alessa, restarting the ritual, although this would take an undetermined amount of time, which will leave wide open a series of events yet to come.